Slip-on, pull-on Chelsea boots. This is an overview of which Aussie boot is best. You probably already heard of Blundstone because everyone and their mother owns a pair. But there are two other really good manufacturers in the game. Redback, good old Redback Boots, and Rossi Boots. Now, spoiler alert, both of which are still made in Australia, unlike Blundstone. So, on the surface, they all seem the same. But once you slip them on, you notice a difference on how amazingly separate and unique they are. So, which boot is perfect for you and your lifestyle? I'll break them down by price, durability, comfort, style, and unique features. Now let's start off with the gateway drug, the Blundstone. Now, this was my first Australian boot and was recommended to me heavily by another biker. He said he had had his for over a decade and had zero problems. So, I bought a pair. Now these are the Ducati collab. You can tell by the details on the pulls, the gusset, the famous yellow and green lining here. And the most unique feature is the shift pad on the left foot. Now they're based off the Super 550 model, which is fully lined on the inside. So there's a piece of leather here and a piece of leather here at the top of the foot. Now the MSRP was about $220, which is quite a lot for a boot of this caliber, and you'll see why in a second. Durability has been pretty great. I've had these for almost 2 years, and they've taken a beating. I use them for the design purposes, which is a motorcycle boot, which they honestly excel at. The shift pad is pretty amazing and perfectly placed for where I am hitting the shifter on my motorcycle. And it keeps me from feeling the metal hit the sensitive part of my foot. It's also fun to play this little game where I basically try to hit the shift pad every single time right here. And that's honestly what I kind of do on board in traffic. Now the leather is a bit scuffed, but like I said, I've beaten these things and they look great. If I condition them, most of the scuffs will come out, which I've done before. And the sole is still doing pretty great, considering I have to put my feet down to stop because I live in Los Angeles, and that means I have a target on my back because this is the land of the worst drivers. If you think your drivers are worse where you're from, leave a comment below and let me know, because let's trade some stories. So, I commend these for keeping me from being 6 feet under plenty of times. And the area that started showing signs of weakness is here at the gusset, which I don't think it's much of an issue because the elastic is still pretty stretchy and I put miles on them. Another area that is for concern is the liner. Now, these being lined, there is leather on top of the foot and in the back, right here where the heel goes in. Now, the rest of it is a soft felt-like material, and that lets the boots break in very easily, which they felt amazing right out of the box. Because the leather can be thinner and can conform your foot way quicker. But that is an issue now because where the leather is thinner and the felt liner is starting to show right here, and a little bit of signs of balding where my pinky toe rubs against it. And I think eventually it will fail, but I have no idea when. Now, comfort is fantastic in these, especially when you put a solid arch support in them, and it really pushes them over the edge. The reason they are so comfy is because of the TPU sole here, which all these boots have, and you can see air bubbles are injected into it, creating an excellent shock absorption. I wore these when I was in New York City, and I walked the entire area without feeling any fatigue or even having to sit down for a second. Now, either you like the asymmetrical look of these specific models, and if you don't, the Super 550 is the same plain toe front for both boots. And you can definitely wear these with about anything. That's the beauty of something this simple, is it's approachable and can grow with you and your style. Since Blundstone is so big, they are able to make these things in tons of different colors, materials, and cuts. So if you like them, check them out. Back to the $220 elephant in the room. Are these actually worth the price? That's hard to say. I haven't had too many issues with them, but I do question some durability issues. Also, they are made in Vietnam now, and not Australia. Not a knock against Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam honestly manufactures a ton of footwear. Chances are, if you've had a pair of sneakers in your closet, they were made in Vietnam. Now, the only reason I bring that up now is the cost of labor is way cheaper. But I don't think they pass on the savings and benefits in quality to the buyer. And you'll see what I mean. Redback Boots. Now, these are the second pair of Rossi boots I bought. You may not have heard of them, but if you look down at the feet of most EMS, firemen, mechanics, basically anyone standing around all day and needing comfort and durability, you'll see these little, teeny tiny red spiders. And they honestly live up to the hype. The price I paid for these was around $180, which is incredible for a boot of this caliber, and even more incredible compared to the Blundstone. So I'll be honest, I've only had this pair for about a few months, but I've had this pair for over half a year. Now, these are two different models. Now, this one is called the pull-on boot. Now, these are definitely very dirty because I have taken these on a hike very recently through Montana. And these have held up very well. They're super comfortable and very, 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 very durable. And the grip is amazing on them. And this one is called the Great Barrier Reef. Terrible Australian accent. Please don't kill me. These are called the Great Barrier. And the reason they're called the Great Barrier is because this is one piece of leather and it's mainly designed to add into waterproofness for the boot. Now, these are oil treated like the rest of the boots, Rossi and the Blundstone as well, for waterproofness. For durability, these things have held up pretty amazingly. I'm more than walking around, working on the bike, hikes, traveling, and they look and feel great. Not a thing has honestly gone wrong with them. These are both unlined boots, which is great for a few good reasons. One reason why is because they use a way thicker leather than they did on the Blundstone. And two, it's honestly more breathable because it's one less layer. The thicker leather should last longer and mold to your foot better. Said the tongue twister a couple times. Thicker leather, thicker leather, thicker leather should last a lot longer. Now, these are incredibly comfortable, and there's even a video that Anvil Rose did, and I'll link that below, where he cut a pair of these, the pull-on boots, in half. And you can just see how much foam is inside them and how good the arch support actually is inside of them. And that's the key about these. They are incredibly comfortable, and I thought I could improve them with a new insole, but I was wrong. It made them worse, so I just went back to the original. So these boots, in essence, feel like sneakers. And I really, really do mean that. You can run in these, and they can handle all the impacts very, very well. And honestly, a few times, I forgot I was even wearing a pair of boots and didn't notice until I looked down at my feet again. They're really that good. They do feature a really chunky outsole, as you can see here, which is great for any harsh environment you may encounter. And they're pretty quiet when walking on hard surfaces, so you can really take these out hiking too, so that's pretty amazing. I've done it a few times, and the comfort, grip, waterproofness of the leather is just really, really makes a difference. It's like walking on a dream of babies. One caveat though is with the tread. This will pick up pebbles. As you can tell how thick the tread is here, it's enough space to allow some small pebbles and rocks and whatever else to kind of seep on into the sole there. So you will pick those up every now and then. And you may have to reach down, stop what you're doing, and dig them out, because the sound itself of a pebble scraping on hard concrete, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's just one of the worst sounds you could ever experience, and it's just kind of annoying. But I haven't had to do that too often with these boots. And even in spots where I thought I'd have to do it all the time, I didn't have to. So it's not a knock against the boot. It's just something you might have to be aware of. The styling of these boots is honestly a little aggressive. They're very bold boots. The logo of the spider there. You have a logo here at the sole of the foot. You have a logo here as well. But you can casual them down. And once they start aging, I think some of the boldness will kind of wear down. Think of them like a teenager listening to rock and roll. When they get older, maybe they'll swap Led Zeppelin for some Beethoven. they are still made in Australia. And there are a ton of great features packed in these boots for a really, really great price tag. They are impressive. A little harder than Blundstone to find, but you can buy them directly through the website and the link below. The final boot, and the most recent boot I've bought. Rossi Boots! Now you may never have heard of them. They're pretty hard to get your hands on, especially here in America, because they don't directly sell them here, so you may have to go online and try to buy them through an importer, and I'll link below where I bought them at, because they were a great help with sizing and information. Now I paid just over $150 for them, and I feel like I stole them. These are some really hard wearing boots, built like a tank, and they are using very premium materials. Usually you'll see these on the feet of winery workers because they take a beating and just keep on going. I've only had these for a few months, but I can already tell that the durability will live up to the hype. It's an unlined thick leather with a hard nitrile rubber outsole and a great insole. It just honestly feels like something you find inside a sneaker. And this awesome leather pull tab right here. This is an amazing feature because this is what would break first, because Rossi decided to say, you know what, no, we're not gonna let them die that easily. So they decided to put this leather pull tab on there to age well with you and honestly just last longer. It's an amazing feature to have on a boot. Now these being thick leather, like the Redbacks, they do take some time to break in. These Redbacks are probably the hardest boot I had to break in, with it taking a few weeks. And then honestly I had to use a foot stretcher on them just because they just such thick leather. The toe box is pretty narrow on them. Now the Rossi seem pretty good after about 4 days in. And I think they'll even get more comfortable the more and more I wear them, and just really let the boot just conform to my foot. Now I've worn these walking around and they do give me some great arch support, and the insoles really do make me feel relaxed. The midsole is a TPU. They're taking advantage of the cushion, but giving you a more traditional and durable nitrile outsole. Now, these are very minimal looking boots, which I love. So you can basically wear them to anything. It's like a work boot that doesn't look like a work boot. So do whatever you want in them. So, besides the style, waterproofness, and TPU midsoles, the other thing they all share in common is sizing. I'm an American 11.5 in Nikes and a 10.5 D in boots like Chippewa and other American brands. So in these boots, I'm a 9.5, which is spot on. But the interesting thing in Australian sizing is a half size only increases the width, not the length. So, for example, here are my Redbacks and the slip-on, and these are a size 9. And this is the Great Barrier in a size 9.5. Now, they are the exact same length. It's just the width that is different. Now, the break-in time for the 9 was, honestly, this was pretty rough. I had to use shoe stretchers for a while, but now they honestly conform my foot perfectly. The 9.5 took some time, but eventually they did give in for the perfect fit. Now, I do think a lot of that is the quality of leather they're using. It's a lot thicker of a leather, so it does take some more time to kind of really conform your foot. Plus, this toe cap and the boot is pretty thick, so that is probably the biggest difference between the three of them. This toe cap is really, really thick on these boots, so it does take a while to really conform to your foot size. The differences in fit between the three of these, this Blundstone has the widest toe box. The Rossi has the second widest toe box, and the Redback has definitely the most narrowest of the toe boxes. Now they will all conform to your foot, but the Rossi and the Redbacks will take a little bit more time. Okay, so now, which do I think is the best boot for me? If I was going on a trip and only wanted one pair of boots for everything and anything, from walking, running, hiking, riding motorcycles, working, bad weather, whatever, I would have to go with the Redbacks. Now, they really do stand out in the outdoor arena. I honestly find myself gravitating to them the most because they are just crazy comfortable. I'm not kidding when I say they feel like sneakers. But if I was going to go somewhere where I wasn't concerned with hiking, but lots of walking and pretty casual activities, it's going to be the Rossis. Now, they look amazing. They're comfortable, built like a tank, look like a more traditional boot, and they are still made in Australia. All for the cheapest price, and that's pretty crazy. It's kind of like the perfect boot for boot guys, because if you like a traditional boot, then you're really gonna love these, because they have the hard nitrile outsole, and it just feels like a traditionally made boot when you're walking around in these. Now, I'm imagining myself wearing the Rossis, walking through the streets of Kyoto, which is another reason why the slip-ons are so good, because they help a lot in Asia, because having to take them on and off a lot when you go inside a place, just pop in your foot and you're ready to go, or slip it right. So that's it for the overview. Yes, there are definitely better boots for the price than Blundstone, but if you're wanting boots like this, the classic Blundstone Super 550, or I guess even if you can get your hands on these, the Ducati edition, or you know, the Redback Boots slip-ons, or the Redback Boot, the Great Barrier, or even the Rossi Boots. Both companies, which are still manufactured in Australia, at a way better price point and a higher quality than a Blundstone is. So for Blundstone, are you really just buying just a name brand and hype? You kind of are. But it's entirely up to you which one you decide to go with, because I gave you all the information I have, my recommendations, and why I like them, why I don't like them, and really just kind of what makes them so unique and what's so special about a good simple slip-on boot. If you like content like this, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment, so that way I know you love this and I can make more stuff like this for you. And eventually, if you want me to make a more deep, detailed, nitty-gritty review of any of these boots below, I'm more than happy to do so, because the more information I give you means the more cool shit and less bullshit you can have in your life. Honestly, I think I have too many boots. Do I? I mean, what is a boot? It's kind of, you know, it's like a glove for your foot. You can't have enough gloves for your feet, can you? I think I have a problem. Nah.